Arcane is everywhere. If you haven't heard of the show by now, what the fuck have you been doing? You must be living under a rock. Stop watching my channel and go watch the show. And you can thank me later when I have awakened your third eye and enlightened you. Now, if you've been on YouTube in the past couple weeks, you probably have seen everyone cover Arcane. Hell, I've covered it twice in 2 videos. And me personally, I don't like to have multiple videos cover one specific topic because I don't want to alienate any of my viewers. Now, let me quickly cover 2 big disclaimers. One, the majority of these videos that I'm analyzing have all praised Arcane, but I'm taking most of their constructive criticisms and analyzing it. And the main reason is because I want to see if I agree or disagree with the constructive criticisms. And plus, if I was analyzing their entire video of them praising the show, this would not be much of an interesting analysis. It would just be me agreeing with them. And the second disclaimer is, I know this is going to be shocking, we can actually disagree, respectively disagree on the internet. I know, fucking shocking. You guys probably can't even fucking believe it. But yes, I can respectfully disagree with one of their points and still agree with all the other points, and I'm not personally attacking them. I know, shocking. Just have an open mind, alright? But with that being said, enjoy the video. By the way, I forgot to mention all the channels that I have in this video will be in the link description. For the first video that I want to analyze, it's by someone you might know. His name is Moist Critical. He kind of has a smaller channel, you know, nothing too big here, just 9 million subscribers. Just a tad bigger than me, but let's get into the video.
The thing that they're making very clear is that League of Legends characters are the only ones that are unkillable in the show. Every character that has died so far is a character that has not existed in the game. But the game characters are still totally fine, still building, and I feel like that's a pattern that will probably continue for a while. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they come out of the gate swinging in Season 2 and all League of Legends characters just fucking blow up. They just get blasted by a plague or something. I don't know.
Now for his first point, I don't think it's all that crazy. Riot is known to be playing favorites, especially when it comes to giving skins. I mean, just look at Lux. She's gotten like 10 bajillion skins, while I can't even get one for my goddamn favorite champion. Riot, you bunch of pricks. Anyway, we're only on season 1, and I didn't see any characters that were champions that should have died. And plus, this is all speculation since we don't have enough information to go off of. Even he said that. So honestly, this kind of could go either way. Characters that are champions for season 2 and beyond, they might have insane fucking plot armor. I'm talking main anime protagonist type plot armor. Or they could be treated like every other character in Game of Thrones and can be killed off at any fucking point. Only time will tell for that.
Another thing that I'd like to critique a bit is I think they're trying to cram too much into too short a time period. Like, they're doing too much all at once. So some of the relationships just really get wild quickly. Like Vi and Caitlyn, they go from hating each other in one episode to being inseparable in the next. And I just feel like the show's missing that crucial building to that point because it looks like they just flipped the switch and they went from enemies and really, you know, suspicious of each other to being fully trusting and fully open to each other. Like they don't want to ever be apart.
His next point is also kind of understandable. There are some moments where the character development seems a little rushed. Hell, I even had some constructive criticisms about it in one of my videos. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, this is going to be a reoccurring theme throughout these videos. While some are more glaring than others, I didn't really find Caitlyn and Vi's relationship all that rushed. While yes, it happened very quickly in the span of one episode, it's completely understandable why they built such a quick relationship. This is why I don't like to use the word rush in this situation, because rush kind of implies that there's no events that led up to what happened. Because when I think of rush, I think it just comes out of nowhere. I would like to prefer the word quick more in this circumstance, because it did happen in one episode and it happened very quickly. There's still meaningful moments that make the quick developed relationship understandable. And while I didn't agree with his example he gave, there are still 2 things I want to mention. One, I would still love to see more development between Caitlyn and Vi, because I do think we got a limited amount of moments for the development of the relationship, but I do think it was still significant enough to make an impact. And 2, while I didn't agree with his example, I do think he's hitting the nail on the head with this one. There are a few relationships between characters that are kind of rushed throughout the show. But I do want to emphasize, this is a nitpick, especially with all the show has accomplished.
And a lot of people, like myself, have probably even struggled with a League of Legends problem. I'm actually 3 years sober.
I just wanted to add this in here because I want to say congratulations on being 3 years sober. This success story kind of gives me a little bit of drive, a little bit of encouragement, because me personally right now, it's kind of hard to talk about it, but I am in League of Legends rehab. I'm kind of recovering, trying to stay sober myself, and fight the urges to hop on that toxic game we know as League of Legends. Now on to the next YouTuber and his points.
Because the problem is that the closer you approach perfection, the more painfully present and distracting the imperfections become.
Now, I completely and 100% agree with this point. For example, when you start comparing masterpiece movies like Citizen Kane, Pulp Fiction, both the Godfather movies, not the third one, that's the inbred reject cousin. But when you're analyzing and comparing all these movies and rating them, the difference between all these movies and where you rank them are by razor-thin margins. This is when the minute details become glaring. But his first point is the rush of character development, and I don't personally agree with his example he gives. And hell, I was gonna tell you why, but honestly, he kinda explains it in his video.
Vi has to shut her down and say, "No, it's too dangerous, you're not ready for it, and I'm scared that I'm gonna lose you. I love you too much, I can't risk it." In the next scene that we see Powder, she is not only sad or despondent about this, she is in a full-on violent meltdown, tearing the heads off her toys. In the show so far, Powder has been a moody kid, often frightened, and her character design sells her as frazzled and a bit fragile, but nothing in her behavior so far has suggested that she is this volatile and prone to fits of violent outbursts. Now, because the storytelling in the show is so good, we as an audience can infer that, okay, she's traumatized by the loss of her parents, her sister is the only real emotional anchor she has in the world, now the family is in danger and she feels abandoned, which is one of the greatest terrors to a kid like that. Okay, we can backfill the details here. We can sort of fill it in ourselves.
Exactly. I don't think it's a negative thing to allow your audience to interpret and fill in the blanks. And personally, I don't understand why we think this is a rushed development when we see Powder just crying and throwing a tantrum. I don't think it's out of the norm to have kids throw tantrums out of nowhere, especially in a traumatic situation as a kid thinking you're getting abandoned. I don't think it's necessary to explain every little emotional change to a character, especially as someone emotionally erratic as a child. I think small details that can be interpreted or inferred by the audience should. It gives more interaction between the audience and your specific content. I don't know, I think it's like the last video where he has the general gist down where there are relationships that are rushed, but I don't think this is a good example. Now, one example that he does give that I agree with is Sky and Victor.
And then the show builds up this massively suspenseful and tragic moment where this character, who we never really got to spend any time with, is brutally murdered for the purposes of making Victor sad and heightening the stakes of his Hex-Tech obsession.
And I completely agree with that point. Hell, I use that same exact example for my criticism of the show. The only thing I kind of can name is when Victor lost his assistant, and that was an emotional moment, especially for Victor, but due to the fact that we didn't have any character development for the assistant, I feel like the impact of that was kind of nullified. But the one thing I want to emphasize, and I don't think he does, is the fact that it's kind of a minute detail. Yeah, sure, I would have loved more character development between Victor and Sky, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's as necessary as other characters and their relationships. I do think we have to take into account the runtime and how much stuff they have to fit in. And with all the plot, character development, dialogue that they fit into this runtime, it's kind of amazing to say the least. I don't know, I think that all the things that they accomplished throughout the show, this is just kind of a minute detail in comparison.
At the end of the season, it turns out that Arcane can't actually resolve all the storylines that they crammed in there. It turns out that there are actually too many balls in the air, too many plot lines in motion, and it can't get to a satisfying conclusion for most of them.
The key word here is yet. I don't understand this criticism because there are tons of TV shows that don't finish all their plot lines in the first season. I don't understand why he thinks it's necessary to complete all the plot lines in the first season. As long as they address and finish the plot line in a satisfying way down the line, then who gives a shit? In my opinion, the fact that they left it on a cliffhanger makes me itch for more. It makes me eager to watch the next season. Now, there was another video that I wanted to analyze.
And I came across this Arcane series and said, where have I seen this name before? It looks familiar, and I was like, oh yeah, a bunch of freeloading losers in the comment section of my videos have been asking me my thoughts on this.
But it was so incoherent.
All the cool kids are doing reaction videos and playing trash games. I want to be included. I get online to have an escape.
That honestly, I think I'm gonna have to dedicate its own video to it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing, and comment below what I should do next. I'll do movies, games, anime, shows, whatever. But again, thank you for watching.